but for the previous census, they reckon there's about 100,000 converts to Islam in Britain.
100,000?
Yep. And that you can correlate by looking at the number of people who click the box Muslim, but also click the box that says white, Anglo-Saxon, Irish, or whatever. If you put those together, that's the number you get to. And I expect it'll be a larger number this time. But that happens really without da'wah. It happens just because people are looking for what is, they find something in Islam, something about its timelessness. They like the form of worship. They like the uncluttered simplicity of the mosque. They love the fact that Muslims united in their ibadah, and that it's uncompromising. Ramadan is difficult but impressive. 5 daily prayers, difficult but impressive. There's a seriousness about it that makes them think, well, this is a real religion. This looks like God's religion.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of the Optimized Muslim podcast. Do you believe that Islam, as it is in its original and complete form, is acceptable in the West, should be portrayed as such in the West, or do you believe that certain elements of it should be watered down or changed or presented in a way that makes it more attractive to a non-Muslim audience or to people who follow a liberal democracy and purport to support its values? If you do believe this, why? What evidence do you have? What arguments do you have? Have you thought about it deeply, or is it just simply our nafs telling us to go towards that which is more appeasing to it? This podcast is about this topic, and I will be sharing, as you can see from the background, a clip from Sheikh Abdal Hakim Murad that I came across recently. Just a couple of minutes of that interview in which he talks about the reasons why non-Muslims are coming towards Islam, and also this issue of watering down the religion. Optimized Muslim project is all about trying to improve our mindset and all the other elements to make us better, more practicing Muslims and live up to our potential. So what has this got to do with that kind of subject line or topic? How is this going to make you a better Muslim? I always try to pick a topic and talk about it by linking it to the underlying benefit that it can have to us Muslims. And with this, it's simply that if you're not even confident in your belief system, if you don't have a sense of certainty in your belief system, you can't walk around a proud and practicing member of your faith. You won't be rigorous in defending it. You won't be able to put yourself out there. You won't be able to have an anti-fragile attitude towards criticisms or challenges that are put towards your faith. You're more susceptible to blend in, seek the comfortable, sacrifice certain elements of your deen. Why? Because you don't have that underlying core certainty of faith, whether of the whole religion, according to the majority of the scholars or according to traditional ulama. So this is why it's important, because you can't be an optimized Muslim or have certainty in your faith or just even live according to your potential and try to achieve the best in this life and the hereafter by being a better practicing Muslim if you're going to be sacrificing certain elements of the faith just for comfort that you might have dressed up in. A certain scholar said this, or I've heard a minority opinion about this here. So it's important that we have this clear understanding. And there's a couple of fallacies underlying that. One of those is that non-Muslims won't be attracted to the religion if we present this element, or the faith has to be watered down, or certain parts of it have to be explained in a certain way to make it more attractive to non-Muslims. So on that topic, I'm going to play the first clip with Sheikh Abdal Hakim Murad, where he addresses the reasons why there's a growing number of white non-Muslim converts to the religion of Islam in the UK. And then once that's complete, we'll carry on the discussion from there.
Without da'wah, in a sense, that journey towards what makes sense is already well underway.
Yes.
And one doesn't have to get too angry and polemical. And if you are, that people tend to get angry and polemical back. It's kind of, aggression is usually counterproductive. And again, the Qur'an does say, وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا, say to people what is most beautiful. And that doesn't mean using 4-letter words and YouTube chat boxes. That's not the way to melt hearts, really. That just exacerbates the ego, which is what we're trying to get beyond. So, yeah, people are joining Islam quietly. We get about 1 conversion a week registered at our main mosque in Cambridge,
Wow.
which I used to think was amazing. But last week I met somebody else who said at his mosque in London they get a similar number. So we'll have to look at what the census return looks like when they've crunched the data that they got a couple of months ago. But for the previous census, they reckon there's about 100,000 converts to Islam in Britain.
100,000?
Yep. And that you can correlate by looking at the number of people who click the box Muslim, but also click the box that says white, Anglo-Saxon, Irish, or whatever. If you put those together, that's the number you get to. And I expect it'll be a larger number this time. But that happens really without da'wah. It happens just because people are looking for what is, they find something in Islam, something about its timelessness. They like the form of worship. They like the uncluttered simplicity of the mosque. They love the fact that Muslims united in their ibadah, and that it's uncompromising. Ramadan is difficult but impressive. 5 daily prayers, difficult but impressive. There's a seriousness about it that makes them think, well, this is a real religion. This looks like God's religion, because it's not constantly being sweetened and diluted by anxious synods.
So that's the clip. He talks about how there's a structure and discipline and a certain toughness within the deen that one who wants to be a practicing Muslim has to abide by, that is attractive to non-Muslims. And I just wanted to comment on that, because the experiment of having a faith which is flexible and changes with the whims of the time has already played out in Europe or in the UK, and you can see the level of practicing in terms of Christians or members of the other faiths. One of the reasons why people are coming towards Islam is because they've already tried out following their desires. They've already tried out not having any meaning or routine or discipline imposed on them, not having any practices that they have to do no matter what. They've already tried that system out. It's not given them inner happiness or contentment. They continue to have this void that leads them to keep searching for more. So they come across Islam, and the structure and rigidity of Islam is one of the things that attracts them to the faith. Now what you have now is certain preachers and certain groups that are trying to, for whatever reason, for whatever justification that they have, trying to change that in terms of also making Islam in line with the times, or reforming certain elements of it. And whether they're putting that across by bringing up minority opinions that they can use to support their statements, or trying to, in a way, con the Muslim masses by making them think that this so-called reformed opinion is already from within the tradition. And then you have certain preachers who may well have some form of an educated background within Islam, but the moment you hear their name, whether it's a Mufti this or Sheikh this, the moment you hear their name along with a masala or what their opinion is on a certain matter, you already know it's going to be the most lenient position. You already know that that's their line of work. You can guess with quite good certainty whatever the question is, whether this is halal, whether you're allowed to shorten fast in Ramadan, anything that tends towards ease, that'll be their position. And the underlying assumption is sometimes they try to justify it in a mocking way by mocking the more difficult position. But this has been ongoing for a number of years. I can think of one personality whom some of you probably guessed who I'm talking about, but they started maybe 10 years ago on the internet scene, and they've not really caught on in terms of gaining that traction that you would otherwise assume if this is what the Muslims wanted. If the Muslims wanted an easier religion, if the Muslims wanted a traditional opinion that supports their nafsi desire, they would have flocked to these individuals, because outwardly at least they'd be getting their religious justification to follow a certain position by virtue of this so-called trained mufti who's giving them the opinion of a scholar from 700 years ago or whatever else. So this is something that we have to be wary about. We don't need the religion to be watered down for us to follow it. It's fine as it is. People have been following it, and they will continue to do so, and it's fine. It's not too much of a struggle. We don't need more avenues where, oh, this is a case of necessity, therefore you don't have to do this. Oh, this is a case, all you're doing is simply making the religion into a joke. Oh, because this is a case of difficulty and therefore there's an opinion. It's fine as it is. It's not too much difficulty. You can overcome the difficulty by instead teaching people to adopt a mindset of not conforming to the status quo, of accepting a bit of discomfort, of doing what's ordained divinely rather than what's seen favorably in society, or what makes you, avoiding what makes you stand out. So practicing the religion might be difficult if you see everything from the perspective of it being easy and fitting in with cultural norms in the West. But if you see it from the perspective that you have the advantage here, you have something that's true, you shouldn't need to feel this void, or you shouldn't need to want to fit in necessarily when it comes to practicing the tenets of your faith. That's just what I wanted to talk about in this podcast episode. And Jazakallah khair for listening. Please like, share, subscribe for more. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.